Hey everyone, this is Peter 24/7 from Project Ghost. I'd like to start off by saying thank you all to those who watched and commented on my last post. There was a lot of good questions, so I can't answer them all today, but over the next few days I will be answering as much as I can. So for starters, PvP just started, at least the treasure phase. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to log into Atlas and I'm going to make sure that all of our castle shields are enabled to make sure that we don't have any unexpected visitors. And I'll just go through the castle tab and all of the castles should say shield triggered. So I did mention yesterday, level 2s pass the threshold, let them pop, stay till the end. And that way you'll minimize loss. So it looks like all of my castle shields are enabled. So I now have a $5 vacation. So first off, there's a couple people who did comment on whether or not they think I'll be able to complete the second discount seasonal line. So as I mentioned yesterday, this is where I am, just around the evolution stone, the gold evolution stone. So I'm going to start by opening up all of my bronze and gold chests. We'll see how far I get, and then I'll look at how much I'll be getting from the seasonal line and work from there. So I know there's a lot of people who do the same, but when you have megas that you're doing, when you're doing your XP runs, when you're just flying in wars or in Atlas, you get all these chests and they save up and they do accumulate. And yes, they don't give you too many sigils, but it does add up. So I love it when I get the occasional epic pull and I get 125 sigils, but usually this takes a little time for me to open them all. So let's see where we get opening up all of these. So by the looks of it, ideally what I want are shields, not shields, the inner fires, timers, eggs, and sigils are what my main concerns are. And if I get a bunch of hammers, I'm not going to complain either. Those always aren't as abundant as I would like them to be. And there are some times where I'll actually break down and actually buy hammers because they're needed to defend. So any base without hammers, people can get through them fairly easy. So while I am opening up all of these gold chests, I'm just going to once again go through the comments. I'm going to answer some of the questions that I have. So first of all, I was asked a question, which app am I using to make these videos? Just the app that came with my iPad. It's called iMovies. So it's very easy. I'm not the most technologically savvy person around. So the easier the app is to use, that's usually what I lean towards using. So iMovies is the app that I am using for that. We had a couple that said I should be able to finish that seasonal line between the event and my bronze chests and my gold chests. And I had one that said, I don't think you can. So we're going to see if I can actually do it. I actually hope I can do it. It's the best way to set yourself up for the season. Another question, I think it's perfect timing with the new Atlas season coming up. So once this PvP is over, the Atlas season is going to end. We're all going to get our seasonal timers for our castle VP or our Atlas ranking, and then the new season is going to start. So basically a whole bunch of new teams are going to be coming out, new seasonal lines are coming out, and I was asked, for beginners, what should they be looking at getting? So first of all, for beginners, troop base is the most important part of Atlas. Without a troop base, you can't really do anything in Atlas. Troops are what generate everything, whether it be glory or the other side events that you do. Troops are used as a currency to help you get those prizes. So when I start the season, someone who's been playing Atlas for a while now, what I focus on first are the Primarch boosts. So if you're just starting Atlas, I guess this isn't as important. It's more for the people who are, looks like my screen just froze. It's more for the people who are more situated in Atlas and have the bigger battles. I would focus more on gear. So if this is your first time having Atlas, focus on getting gear. Do as much as you can, build as many troops as you can, and glory hunt as efficiently as you can, and start with your gear. So before you start on offensive gear, I actually think that the defensive gear is more important. So it's usually the worst, the place where people tend to lack the most is the defensive gear. And we actually talked about this last week, where it makes a very big difference if you don't have that gear on your Primarchs or on your riders that go on to your purchase. So we want to make sure that you have the gear that you need. Now, I do understand that you want the gear as well to get to the stronger dragons, but defensive gear, in my opinion, is a better investment if you're only going to get one set. Now, how the Atlas season is set up is you have to get through two full lines of elite gear, and then you get to open the mythic gear. If this is your first season, I would suggest collecting the elite gear and then getting the mythic gear if you can. Mythic gear costs a lot of shards, a lot of those elemental shards to level up. So I would actually recommend for the first, if it's your first time playing it, get the elite gear. That way you have something that's a little easier to level up, and something that's not the best, but it's not bad, and at least you'll be relatively situated with your gear. And you could quite possibly get both the defensive, a complete set of defensive and offensive gear. Pick one element and focus on that element. If you're going for a wind, if your best dragon that you're using is a wind element dragon, get the wind element for your offensive. And for your rider, you want to focus on a set for your highest level warrior that you do not use. So right now I'm using Gig and Archon, and this season I am probably going to end up getting the warrior. I'm going to see how things go. I may get both. We'll see how I do. Once again, I'm not buying into the game, so I might end up only getting one. Maybe I'll just plan through this season and then save up once I've got what I want and try to get the rest. So the only reason I'm focusing on thinking of getting the warrior for this season is because I have the mythic gear, both offensive and defensive, max level for the earth element, which this mythic divine is for this new season. So once again, beginners, I would focus on the gear first, because that's going to have the biggest impact. If this is your second, third, fourth, whatever season going into Atlas, I would suggest getting the Primarch boosts first and becoming more active in Atlas. So to finish the entire Atlas season, you need roughly 3.5 million glory. That will get you both half sets of mythic gear, and it will also finish all your Primarch lines, and it'll also finish your rider lines. So I usually don't have a problem doing it. I know some other people struggle, but it all comes down to activity. Get active, get out, get that stuff. The more active you are in Atlas, the better off your base will be, your dragons will be, and the faster you will progress. If this is your second time around, and you have no problem finishing the season, go for the mythic. If you already have elite gear, a full elite gear of a set that you're using, I would suggest the possibility of taking the shards that are used for leveling up your gear instead of taking the elite gear. For each piece of elite gear that you get shards for instead, you'll get about 500,000. And the mythic gear costs a lot to level up, and each piece of gear takes 2 different elements. So bringing it from level 1 to level 10, you're talking about, over 1 million of each of those shards that you're using. So I would recommend doing that. And the rider is always good to get. So once you get to my point, like somewhere where I am, where all of your Primarchs are maxed, the rider gives you some... Oh, there we go. Look, 125 sigils. Yay! The rider gives you something to level during the Primarch event. They did increase the payouts from the gold invader bases to give us some points for flying that event. But it's never enough, and it's very difficult to max this event if that's the case. So once again, the Primarch, I usually go for the Primarch boosts first. I ignore the Sieger because, the Sieger is good and stuff. It's tough, especially if you're hitting trappers, but it's not really practical to use. Destroyer, I think, is probably the most effective, but I always get the Primarch boost for the Destroyer, the Trapper, and the Taunter, and then I move on to the Gear or the Rider, whichever I choose first. So, the reason I go for the Primarch boosts first is because that will tip the scale into my favor for the kill-loss ratio. So glory is based on how much you kill versus how much you lose, and it caps at 1.5 times the amount of troops that you lose. So if you kill 15,000 troops but lose only 6,000 troops, you'll get 9,000 glory based on that math. So the stronger, I understand that people want more glory and the weaker Primarchs may possibly yield more glory. In the long run, losing less troops will ultimately pay you off more. You just have to attack a little bit more. And when you're getting attacked, you won't lose as much. So it's all about conserving how many troops you have. So down to 279 more of these chests. Another question that was asked in the comments of my video last week was guard. So I did touch a bit on this the other day, but this is a big thing where the new update that PG is going to be implementing, where players will guard will be more accessible. So until now, a lot of players and a lot of teams have actually used guard as a currency to either buy something or trade with someone, or just an easy way to get glory. Now, I'm very impartial about this. I've never, even though I organize a lot of them, I actually don't really hit them myself unless we're actually trying to conquer a castle. But a lot of teams do it, and I do understand why they do it. It's very easy, and it's a very quick way to get your glory up and finish those seasonal lines. And I think it's also one of the reasons that Atlas has started to become a little stagnant. Now, they're implementing where the guard are going to be more easily more easily hit. So I talked about it the other day, how they plan to do that. And once PG officially announces how they're going to do that, they haven't confirmed 100% that they're actually going to go through it. I know that there was a lot on the forums a lot of back and forth. They took the post down, so I don't really know what's happening, but I'm sure we'll find out this weekend. But they do plan on implementing some sort of change in some sort of way, shape, or form on March 17th. So it's very important that you have that guard as a buffer, because castles are going to get hit more. Yes, your guard may be hit. Now, I don't think that people should panic. You know, losing guard, it's a part of the game. But if you do end up losing, you know, 1,000,000 guard, 500,000 guard, it's not something you should be panic about. This is one of the reasons that you shouldn't be using your guard and trading your guard to the point where you don't have guard. When you trade guard, for every 1,000,000 guard that you kill, you only get about 400,000 guard back for your reserve. So when you're trading, you're actually running down your numbers, and you're making yourself vulnerable. What's going to happen when you don't have any guard to put back on your castle? You're screwed. You're going to lose the castle. So think about your security. You want to make sure that you're watching your assignments, and don't panic if your guard get hit. It takes a lot of troops to get through guard, especially on the bigger castles, but don't panic. They're there as a buffer for you to get organized and get defensively ready. So I'm kind of disappointed. I just opened 1,500 or 1,600 bronze chests and 40 gold chests, and I only have 2,600 sigils. So let's see where that gets me. So yay, more gold chests. Elemental embers. Okay, just go and open up everything I can. Okay, so this is what I got. Page 2, right here. So now I'm going to open up the armory, and I got some more gold chests, so I'm going to open up 30 more. There you go. Some more sigils. Give me sigils. Give me sigils. Oh, that kind of sucked. So now everybody in the world knows how crappy that my pulls are. 725 more. So I'm just going to open up these. So I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow at 3 p.m. EST. The event will start, and I'll be able to get more sigils and everything like that. Probably with the sigil payouts, I know for a fact that I'll get 409. But looking at these 2,000 sigils and looking at the payouts at the higher prize ranks, I'll get to 409, and then I'll make a decision based on where I stand of whether or not I push to 700 or not, and we'll see how I get. So I know this got a bit longer than we wanted it to be. I had to open up all my chests and see where I stood so I could have a plan going into this PvP. Tomorrow we'll get together again. Maybe you'll be here for I'll be recording this when we do our first initial PvP island. We're usually done all the chain islands within the first 30 or 40 minutes, so we'll see how that goes and how we can progress over this weekend. If anyone has any other topics, questions, I may not be able to get around to it tomorrow, but I am making a list on the side of things that people are bringing up. It's not going unseen, and I will be circling back and answering these. So subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. I'll keep doing them. Check it out, and I will get around to answering questions as it becomes easier for me to do so. With regards to the question for how to defend bases, it's a little more difficult to do it now because it's not a PvP that we'll necessarily get hit much, but maybe I can organize getting someone to hit my base or something outside of the PvP so that I could actually do that. So we'll cover that later. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy the short break for PvP, and make sure you get your castles situated and your assignments done, because when PvP bubbles drop on Monday, it's should be pretty busy with the new season starting. So thanks for watching. Have a great PvP week, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Talk to you later.